Here's your WNEM TV5 News Update.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Meg McLeod. Here's a quick look at some of the stories we're following. With extreme heat this weekend, too much time in the sun can become dangerous. In fact, deaths due to heat-related illness have increased in the U.S. from around 1,600 in 2021 to more than 2,300 in 2023. An emergency physician at University of Michigan Health says it's important to know the early signs of heat illness before it becomes more serious.
It starts with symptoms that are very mild that probably everyone has experienced, things like fatigue, cramps, nausea, headaches, but it can progress over the next several minutes or hours. Heat stroke is a true medical emergency. So if someone has rising body temperature and gets to the point that they're having altered mental status, so they're confused, they're slurring their speech, they may lose consciousness or have seizures, that is a true medical emergency. So you should contact 911.
He also says several groups are more at risk for heat-related illness, like babies, young children, people over the age of 65, and those on certain medications.
Medicaid is a lifeline for so many people, not just here, but across the country. Nearly 250,000 people in mid-Michigan rely on Medicaid for their health care, including tens of thousands of seniors.
Congresswoman Kristen McDonald-Rivet condemning proposed federal cuts to Medicaid. Speaking at the village of Hampton Meadows in Bay County, McDonald-Rivet says the budget passed by House Republicans slashes Medicaid by more than $800 billion.
I do think that there is room in Medicaid to eliminate a lot of the bureaucracy and red tape and how hard it is to navigate. There is no plan to actually do those things. Those cuts will kick 30,000 people right here in mid-Michigan off of health insurance, risk the closure of rural hospitals, and raise health care costs for everybody.
The House-passed budget bill is now up for consideration in the Senate. At least 4 Republican senators have publicly raised concerns that Medicaid cuts could hurt their constituents. But a new report from Senate Republicans in the Finance Committee shows the GOP plans to expand cuts to Medicaid by as much as $1 trillion over a decade. $200 billion more than the House version. Now here's Chris with your first alert forecast.
Big temperatures tonight are expected to drop down to the 60s and low 70s. It looks like as we head into tomorrow morning, the humidity will rise even more. And then tomorrow afternoon, we're likely in the low to mid 90s. Average is right around 80, so we're 10 to 15 degrees above that mark tomorrow. We'll likely also see heat index values commonly between 95 to 100 most of the weekend. It looks like even by midnight Saturday night, we're looking at a real feel between the mid 80s to near 90. So there's not even much relief on Saturday night. And it looks like going into Sunday afternoon, we'll have the potential to be even hotter. As far as the humidity goes, the next 5 days, there's not much relief. It appears our temperatures will get cooler towards the middle of next week, but not much of the mugginess goes away. As for your rain chances tonight, it's a tricky forecast. There's not much going on around these frontal boundaries around the area initially this evening, but we expect more development, especially near the Dakotas and also Minnesota, where we expect the best chance for storms. But that warm front a little bit farther to the south may lead to some development in West Michigan and Lake Michigan a little bit later tonight. And where those systems track, especially the northernmost part in the Dakotas and also Minnesota, they typically ride the storm fuel boundaries. And as you can see, that is moving off to the north as we go through tonight. So it's something that we may not have a really great handle on until it develops completely. As we go through the hour-by-hour forecast, I think this is a reasonable take. We may start seeing some showers and storms developing on the west side of the state as we get closer to 3 and 4 o'clock in the morning. Those will likely have a chance to move off to the east through the morning hours. And then also with the second part that moves through the UP, we're going to see how far south that eventually moves into northern lower. Will it eventually stay north of our area, or will some of that extend into our northern counties? I think that's a big question we're going to try to answer later tonight. Most of the rain should be done by noon tomorrow, and then once those storms move out, we should be dry the rest of the day. As far as your severe weather risk goes, we're under a marginal risk for the entire area tonight through 8 o'clock in the morning, and then after 8 o'clock, we shift over to a slight risk of severe weather for the northeastern half of the TV5 viewing area. So that's our northern counties as well as much of the thumb. Areas a little bit farther to the south and west are likely under a lower risk. We think the main threat is torrential rain, strong winds, and hail. The tornado threat is much lower this time around. Your 7-day forecast shows next week we stay warm. We're in the middle 90s. It looks like we cool off towards the middle of the week, but we also become more unsettled by that time too.
Remember to tune into WNEM TV5 on air and online 24/7 for the latest news, weather, and information.